Chapter 71. The Battle Before Sicily Pass. A clash of quasi-saints. As soon as this figure walked in, Jiang Ziya and real person Huanlong, along with others, immediately became vigilant. They were alarmed that someone had entered their camp at Sicily Pass without being noticed. However, when Jiang Ziya saw who it was, he immediately relaxed. The newcomer was Xuandu. After Yuanshi had left, Xuandu took a few days to adjust himself to his peak condition, and then made his way to Sicily Pass. Xuandu knew well that he was no match for Gu Changsheng right now, but he could certainly oppose the Jie sect. Jie sect wanted to assist the Shang dynasty in regaining its honor, but Xuandu had decided to support Jiang Ziya instead. Moreover, the Jie sect had sent Jiang this time, and Xuandu was keen on causing trouble for her. If Jiang had agreed to his terms after being suppressed under Killing Cliff, there wouldn't have been so many problems afterward. At this moment, Jiang Ziya looked at Xuandu with a smile on his face. Your arrival is timely, Taoist friend. However, Xuandu remained cold and indifferent to Jiang Ziya's smile, ignoring him completely as he walked straight to the front and took a seat. Previously, when he was in Beijing Palace, Laozi had already mentioned how Yuanshi intentionally did not show up, causing Xuandu to get injured. Naturally, Xuandu was not in the mood to be polite to anyone from the Chan sect. Seeing Xuandu's disregard, Jiang Ziya's smile stiffened. What was wrong with these people? First it was Kong Xuan, and now Xuandu, each of them showing him no respect at all. Though he wasn't one of the 12 golden immortals of Yuxu, once the god investiture was completed, his status in the Shan sect would not be inferior to theirs. But considering the fact that there was no one in Sicily Pass capable of resisting Shengongbao's forces, Jiang Ziya had no choice but to rely on Xuandu for now. He suppressed his anger and walked up to Xuandu. After a moment, Xuandu finally glanced at Jiang Ziya and asked, besides Jiang, which other Jie sect disciples are with Shengongbao? Just taking down Jiang wouldn't satisfy his anger. Jiang Ziya quickly responded, according to the latest intelligence, Bixiao seems to have arrived as well. Upon hearing the name, Bixiao, Xuandu's gaze became even more ferocious. This was good news. Now he could take down both Jiang and Bixiao together. Xuandu stood up and prepared to leave. Jiang Ziya hurriedly blocked him, saying, don't underestimate Jiang. Her cultivation is not weak. Although Xuandu as indeed a quasi-saint, Jiang was one as well. In fact, Jiang Ziya believed that Jiang's cultivation might even surpass Xuandu's. Yet, Xuandu seemed so confident that he could easily defeat Jiang. Xuandu, however, sneered disdainfully. Without Jiang, they can't form the complete E9 Bend Yellow River array. Without that formation, what is there to fear from Jiang and Bixiao? With that, Xuandu flew out directly. Seeing this, Jiang Ziya could only signal to real person Huanlong and the others to follow. Since Xuandu was so confident, it was time for them to take the initiative. For too long, they had been oppressed by Shengongbao, and Jiang Ziya was full of pent-up frustration. In the next moment, Xuandu ascended into the sky above Sicily Pass, his powerful aura bursting forth as he shouted towards Shengongbao's camp, Jiang, come out and face me. As his voice echoed, two figures flew out from the opposing camp. Jiang and Bixiao had appeared together. Upon seeing Xuandu, Jiang's expression changed noticeably. The threats Xuandu made while she was trapped under Killing Cliff were still fresh in her mind. Before she could even speak, Bixiao had already sized up Xuandu, and mockingly remarked, isn't this the great disciple of Ren's sect, Xuandu, who had his arms severed by senior brother Gu? Why, have you come to Sicily Pass to thank my senior brother Gu for sparing your life after recovering from your injuries? These words instantly ignited Xuandu's fury. He might not be able to defeat Gu Changsheng, but surely he could defeat Bixiao. With a burst of energy, Xuandu's aura flared up, and with a murderous glint in his eyes, he growled, let's see who can save you today without Gu Changsheng around. As soon as he finished speaking, Xuandu raised his hand, sending a beam of energy straight toward Bixiao. Although Bixiao's cultivation was not as high as Xuandu's, she was not alone. Jiang was right beside her. Jiang quickly moved in front of Bixiao, raising her jade-like hand to effortlessly deflect Xuandu's attack. Afterward, Jiang leaped into the sky, Her cold gaze locked onto Zwandu as she shouted, "Zwandu, come up here and meet your death." It was time to settle the matter of Kiln Cliff. Hearing this, Zwandu naturally accepted the challenge. Gurn rose to the sky. In the next moment, the tremendous power of a battle between quasi-saints erupted in the heavens. On the ground, Jiang Ziya and Shen Gongbao had also emerged from their respective camps, glaring at each other with fury in their eyes. If looks could kill, they would have slain each other countless times over. After a brief standoff, Jiang Ziya was the first to speak. "Shen Gongbao, this Sishui Pass will be your burial ground. As long as Zwandu could defeat Jiang, his strength alone would be enough to turn the tide of the battle." But Shen Gongbao sneered disdainfully. "I just hope you don't flee in panic this time." As they exchanged words, Bixiao looked up at the sky. She knew that in a battle between Jiang and Zwandu, she could not intervene. However, knowing her elder sister, Bixiao was confident that not even a quasi-saint like Zwandu could easily defeat her. In the heavens, Zwandu and Jiang had already exchanged several blows. As the fight progressed, Zwandu's expression became more serious. Jiang's strength was greater than he had anticipated. In fact, his previous assessment of Jiang's abilities was purely based on his own assumptions. As the chief disciple of Ren's sect, Zwandu rarely took others, especially those below the level of saints, seriously. At this moment, Jiang sneered, "Zwandu, if this is all you've got, then today will be your last." With that, Jiang's power surged to the peak level of a quasi-saint. Seeing this, Zwandu remained calm. "I admit I underestimated you earlier," he said, "but it is still impossible for you to defeat me." As he spoke, a flash of light appeared in Zwandu's right hand, and he summoned a magical treasure. He was determined to bring down Jiang with a single strike. Chapter 72. Zwandu came to court death. In Zwandu's hand appeared a flag, dark red in color. This was the Southern Blaze Light flag, a top-grade innate spiritual treasure given to him by Laozi when Zwandu left Beijing Palace. Previously, the heaven and earth mystic yellow exquisite pagoda had been damaged under Gu Changsheng's heaven-slaying sword. Therefore, this time, Laozi could only give Zwandu the Southern Blaze Light flag as a replacement. Although in terms of defense, the Southern Blaze Light flag might not match up to the mystic yellow exquisite pagoda, in Zwandu's hands, it was enough to secure victory against anyone who wasn't a saint. As soon as the Southern Blaze Light flag appeared, Jiang's expression became more solemn. If she still had the mixed yuan golden dipper in her possession, she wouldn't fear Zwandu. However, after the battle at Jinqi Ridge, her mixed yuan golden dipper was taken by Kong Xuan, and she hadn't retrieved it yet. Without it, the Southern Blaze Light flag posed a significant threat to her. Nonetheless, Jiang remained calm. She still had some tricks up her sleeve. The next moment, Zwandu activated the Southern Blaze Light flag and launched an attack at Jiang. Under the flag's assault, Jiang shifted to a defensive stance, retreating continuously. After a few exchanges, she had sustained several light injuries. Zwandu sneered, "What happened to your arrogance from earlier?" But despite Zwandu's mockery, a cold smile crept across Jiang's face. "Perhaps I can't defeat you right now, but I have a way to render you helpless." As she spoke, Jiang formed seals with her hands. In an instant, complex and mysterious light sigils appeared around Zwandu's body. His pupils constricted. This was a formation. Zwandu quickly tried to retreat, but it was too late. Jiang clenched her 5 fingers, and the formation took shape. The light sigils transformed into a cage, trapping both Jiang and Zwandu within. Unlike Zwandu's arrogance, Jiang was far more precise. From the moment they began fighting, Jiang knew that as a disciple of the Ren sect, Zwandu would not be easy to defeat. So, while engaging him in combat, she was also secretly setting up a formation. Now that the formation was complete, she still couldn't overpower Zwandu, but trapping him for a while would be enough. This time would be sufficient for Bixiao and Shen Gongbao to come up with another plan. After being trapped in the formation, Zwandu unleashed several spells and divine abilities, but none could break the formation. "Jiang, let's see how long THI's formation can hold me." Zwandu realized that maintaining this formation required Jiang's power. As long as he could outlast her, the formation would collapse on its own, and capturing Jiang would be an easy task. With the southern blaze light flag in hand, there was no way Jiang Ziya could harm him. In the sky, the battle between Jiang Ziya and Xuandu had temporarily reached a stalemate due to the formation. Below, Jiang Ziya's face grew increasingly grim. What was Xuandu doing? Wasn't he supposed to defeat Jiang Ziya? What was happening now? His current forces were nowhere near as abundant as they were during the western expedition against Shang. Guan Chegs and the others were absent, and real person Huanglong was the only one left, yet he was of no use in this situation. The younger generation of Chan's sect disciples, like never, were also unlikely to prevail against the Jie sect disciples, such as Bixiao, on Shen Gongbao's side. Jiang Ziya glanced once more at the light formation in the sky before turning back into Sishui Pass. He decided to wait until Xuandu emerged before making any moves. Acting rashly could result in casualties among the Chan sect members, which was unnecessary. Besides, without Jiang Ziya, Shen Gongbao's forces would struggle to breach Sishui Pass. It was best to drag this out. Meanwhile, Shen Gongbao, after seeing Jiang Ziya return to Sishui Pass, hesitated and glanced at Bixiao. Bixiao looked up at the sky and said in a low voice, "Let's go back for now." Bixiao recognized Jiang Ziya's formation. It was a formation meant primarily for trapping people. It seemed that even Jiang Ziya couldn't defeat Xuandu, so they needed to come up with a plan. At Jiejiao Island, inside his sea RV, Gu Changsheng had just completed today's practice of the Hongmeng Junxian scroll. In a short while, he would be able to revive another member of the Jie sect. He wondered how Shen Gongbao's mission for redress was progressing, and whether it was going smoothly. Logically, with Con Xuan being taken by Nuer, Shen Gongbao should be facing fewer obstacles on his path to redress. At that moment, a familiar voice echoed in Gu Changsheng's ear, "A new mission has been issued. Please check the mission content, and complete it as soon as possible." Another mission. Although the rewards from the last mission's draw had raised his cultivation to the 6th level of the Hunyuan Dalo, it still wasn't enough. No matter what, the investiture of the gods would eventually be completed. Once it was, Hogjan's strength would undoubtedly increase after he completed the investiture, and he would certainly come after Gu Changsheng. He didn't want to be forced into hiding in the system space every time, so his cultivation needed to improve quickly, preferably reaching the 9th level of the Hunyuan Dalo before the investiture was completed. Better check out his mission first. Gu Changsheng summoned the mission panel. Mission: sign in at Sishui Pass. Please proceed to Sishui Pass to sign in. Mission reward: 10,000 Heavenly Secrets points, 1 draw. This mission reward was quite good, especially the draw. And the task was relatively simple, just a trip to Sishui Pass. Besides, if he remembered correctly, Sishui Pass should be a key point in Shen Gongbao's path to redress. He might as well take a look. Gu Changsheng put away the Hongmeng Junxian scroll, moved, and left Jiejiao Island, heading towards Sishui Pass. Outside Sishui Pass, in Shen Gongbao's camp, both Bixiao and Shen Gongbao wore worried expressions. Shen Gongbao, in particular, was feeling extremely frustrated. During Jiang Ziya's campaign against the Shang dynasty, he had received constant support. Now, even after Con Xuan was taken off, Xuandu showed up. "Bixiao, who do you think will win, Jiang Ziya or Xuandu?" Shen Gongbao asked. If Jiang Ziya couldn't win, they would need to make other plans. Hearing his question, Bixiao, equally frustrated, replied, "It's all that Con Xuan's fault. If we had the mixed Yuan golden dip, how could elder sister fail to defeat Xuandu?" This vague response wasn't the answer Shen Gongbao was looking for, and he frowned. "It seems we need to return to Jiejiao Island, and seek help to deal with Xuandu. This redress must not end at Sishui Pass." Bixiao, on the other hand, fumed that Xuandu is truly infuriating. If senior brother Gu were here, a single strike of the Hongmeng mysterious thunder would send Xuandu's soul straight to the investiture of the gods. If only she could wield the Hongmeng mysterious thunder herself, how great that would be. Then, she wouldn't be so helpless. Just as she finished speaking, a figure suddenly appeared before Shen Gongbao and Bixiao. "Who would have thought Xuandu would rush out to court death so quickly?" said Gu Changsheng as he arrived, having overheard Bixiao's earlier words. Chapter 73, the Xuanling talisman. Seeing Gu Changsheng suddenly appear, Bixiao immediately exclaimed with joy, "Senior brother Gu, you came just in time." Xuandu is currently fighting with my elder sister. Perhaps Jiang Ziya wasn't a match for Xuandu, but Gu Changsheng could easily defeat him. Shen Gongbao, on the other hand, was more cautious. He thought to himself that Bixia might be asking too much. After all, Gu Changsheng couldn't just act freely, otherwise, it might be difficult to explain to the Dao ancestor. Gu Changsheng released his divine sense, instantly sping the situation in the sky above. Jiang Ziya is actually at a disadvantage. In Gu Changsheng's understanding, Jiang Ziya's cultivation was not weaker than Xuandu's, and with Xuandu having lost an arm to him, his strength should have diminished. Why was Jiang Ziya struggling so much? Viewing this, Bixia immediately complained, "It's all because of Kong Xuan. He took away my elder sister's mixed yuan golden dipper. Senior brother Gu, can you help get the mixed yuan golden dipper back for my elder sister? With it, she could definitely defeat Xuandu." Upon hearing T.S., Gu Changsheng was taken aback. The mixed yuan golden dipper had been taken by Kong Xuan. That shouldn't be a problem, he could just go and get it back. But as he was about to speak, something occurred to him. Retrieving the mixed yuan golden dipper from Kong Xuan wasn't the issue. The problem was that Kong Xuan was currently at Nuwa's palace, dealing with Nuwa. Remembering how Nuwa had come to Jiejiao Island to find him before, Gu Changsheng felt a shiver run through him. It might be best to set aside the issue of the mixed yuan golden dipper for now. So, he changed his tone and said, "No rush. We can handle Xuandu even without the mixed yuan golden dipper." Although he couldn't act freely, dealing with Xuandu didn't require him to act personally. He just needed to think of a solution. With that, Gu Changsheng summoned the system's shop interface, searching for a suitable magical item to exchange. However, after looking through the shop, he frowned slightly. The reason was simple: all the treasures capable of dealing with Xuandu were too expensive. It wasn't that the treasures were too costly, it was that Gu Changsheng was too broke at he moment. After exchanging for the Honmeng Junxian scroll last time, he was left with only a few thousand heavenly secrets points. What should he do now? Seeing that Gu Changsheng wasn't speaking, Bixiao and Shen Gongbao were afraid of disturbing him, so they remained silent as well. Just as Gu Changsheng was feeling a bit troubled, a familiar system notification sounded in his ears. "Congratulations to the host for successfully checking in at Sishui Pass. The mission is complete. Reward, 10,000 heavenly secrets points, and 1 draw. Might as well take the draw first. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a special magical item, 3 Xuanling Talismans. Xuanling Talisman, a special type of magical item capable of storing any one spell or divine ability." After reading the Xuanling Talisman's description, Gu Changsheng didn't quite know what to think. On one hand, it seemed like the Xuanling Talisman could perfectly solve the problem of Xuandu. On the other hand, it wasn't particularly useful for himself. If he had drawn another Honling pill instead, his cultivation could have directly advanced to the 7th level of the Hunyuan Delo. But there was no controlling the outcome of the draw. Well, it had its uses, so he might as well make do with it. After all, it wasn't another mission, so he could afford to wait. At this point, Bixiao couldn't hold back any longer and tentatively asked, "Senior brother Gu." Hearing her, Gu Changsheng's lips curled into a slight smile. "It doesn't take me to deal with Xuandu. You can handle him." Bixiao was confused. "But I can't beat Xuandu." If she could, she would have already taken action. However, Gu Changsheng replied seriously, "Why, no, you can." Both Bixiao and Shen Gongbao were puzzled by his words. What did Gu Changsheng mean? "When I say you can, he continued. "Didn't you want to learn the Honmeng mysterious thunder? I'll teach you." At this, Bixiao's eyes lit up. The next day, Jiang Ziya and Shen Gongbao once again stepped out from their respective camps, and everyone looked up at the sky. The power of the formation above had weakened considerably. If nothing unexpected happened, the formation would collapse in less than half an hour. Jiang Ziya glanced over at Shen Gongbao's side, relieved to see no other Jie sect disciples present. However, on closer thought, there weren't many reliable helpers left in Jie sect. Jiang Ziya couldn't even defeat Xuandu. What use would other Jie sect disciples be? Once the formation broke and Xuandu captured Jiang Ziya, he could easily capture Shen Gongbao, and the others as well. But Shen Gongbao appeared calm, knowing that once the formation broke, they could capture Xuandu. Once Xuandu was dealt with, both Jiang Ziya and Sicily Pass would be within their grasp. As for Gu Changsheng, he had already hid in himself, watching from a cloud in the distance. Xuandu's death would surely cause Laozi some heartache. In the next moment, the light from the formation in the sky shifted, and powerful waves of energy surged in all directions. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, the formation shattered. Then, Xuandu and Jiang reappeared before the crowd. Xuandu looked relatively fine, protected by the southern blaze light flag, which had kept him safe from Jiang's formation. Jiang, however, was noticeably paler, having expended a great deal of energy to maintain the formation. She as no longer a match for Xuandu. Jiang turned to look down at Shen Gongbao and Bixiao, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Had they not gone to Jiejiao Island for help? If so, defeating Xuandu would be difficult. At this moment, the Xuandu sneered, Jiang, do you have any other tricks? If not, then I'll send you on your way. As he spoke, Xuandu's aura surged, activating the southern blaze light flag. Seeing this, Jiang frowned. What should she do? Just then, a figure flew up from below. Bixiao approached Jiang, fixing her gaze on Xuandu with disdain. Xuandu, this time, I'd like to see who can save you. Her words left both Xuandu and Jiang confused. Jiang was puzzled because she knew Bixiao's strength. She was no match for Xuandu. What was her little sister doing? Xuandu, even more bewildered, stared at Bixiao with an odd look. Wasn't T supposed to be his line? He sneered, Bixiao, you must be out of your mind. That's my line. I'd like to see who can save you now that Gu Changsheng isn't here. But Bixiao, with a serious expression, replied, there's no need for senior brother Gu to act. I can take care of you, myself. Sister, you. Jiang was worried. What was Bixiao up to? Bixiao, however, smiled and said, don't worry, sister. I've received senior brother Gu's true teachings. Chapter 74. The Xuanlei destroys Xuandu. Bixiao's words startled both Jiang and Xuandu on the opposite side. Senior brother Gu's true teachings. The confusion in Jiang's eyes deepened. Had Gu Changsheng come by while she was fighting Xuandu today? She released her divine sense to scan the area, but couldn't detect Gu Changsheng's presence. Then she realized how foolish this was. If senior brother Gu were indeed here, how could she possibly sense his presence with her current cultivation? If Bixiao truly received some technique from senior brother Gu, perhaps she really could deal with Xuandu. At this point, Jiang could only say, be careful. If you can't handle it, retreat first. The disciples of Jie's sect could not afford any more losses, especially Bixiao, who had already been resurrected once from the investiture of the gods. If she were to fall and who knew what would happen? Don't worry, sister. Just watch me take care of Xuandu, Bixiao said confidently, patting her chest as her power surged. On the other side, Xuandu, sensing Bixiao's aura, felt a wave of relief. He had thought Bixiao might be stronger, but she was merely at the golden immortal level. The gap between a quasi-saint and a golden immortal wasn't easy to bridge, especially when he had the southern blaze light flag in hand. What true teachings from Gu Changsheng? As long as Gu Changsheng wasn't here, no one could threaten him. Even Jiang could do anything to him. What could Bixiao possibly achieve? Xuandu's lips curled into a mocking smile. I'd like to see what true teachings you've received from Gu Changsheng. With that, Xuandu activated the southern blaze light flag and launched an attack directly at Bixiao. Jiang's eyes twitched. Xuandu might not have taken Bixiao seriously, but the strike from the southern blaze light flag was incredibly powerful. Did Bixiao really have a way to counter this? Jiang readied her energy, prepared to retreat with Bixiao if the situation turned dire. As the southern blaze light flag came at her, Bixiao quickly formed seals with her hands. Let me show you senior brother Gus Hongmeng Xuanlei. Upon hearing this, Xuandu's brows furrowed. While recovering at Beijing Palace, his master had warned him that Gu Changsheng possessed an extremely terrifying, lightning-based divine ability. Could this be the Hongmeng Xuanlei? Could Bixiao actually wield it? Feeling cautious, Xuandu withdrew the southern blaze light flag and switched to defense, deciding to block Bixiao's attack first. As Bixiao's hand seals continued to shift, thunderous sounds began to rumble from the clouds above. In the next moment, A bolt of lightning struck down, hitting the southern blaze light flag directly. However, the result was unexpected. The bolt of lightning hadn't shaken the southern blaze light flag's defenses at all. It was too weak. Jiang Ziya was speechless. What Hongmeng Zhuanlei? That was just Jie's sect's Shag King Divine Thunder. And Bixiao's Shag King Divine Thunder was pathetically weak at that. It seemed she had been too lenient with Bixiao's cultivation. After this battle, she would need to make sure Bixiao trained harder. Bixiao's use of Shag King Divine Thunder left Jiang Ziya in disbelief, while Zhuandu's anger surged. He had been cautious, and this was the result. What Hongmeng Zhuanlei? Did Bixiao think he didn't recognize Jie's sect's Shag King Divine Thunder? Such weak Shag King Divine Thunder didn't even require the defense of the southern blaze light flag. Zhuandu's veins bulged on his forehead as he gritted his teeth. Shag King Divine Thunder. Let me show you the Taishang Divine Thunder of Ren's sect. Zhuandu channeled his power, and with a change in his hand seals, the sky roared If thunder. A bolt of Taishang Divine Thunder shot directly at Bixiao. The force of this Taishang Divine Thunder was something no golden immortal could withstand. As the Taishang Divine Thunder descended, a cunning glint flashed in Bixiao's eyes. She quickly hid her right hand behind her back, where a talisman in her palm began to burn. Taishang Divine Thunder. Zhuandu, today will be the day you die. With those words, Bixiao swung her right hand forward, the Zhuanling talisman in her palm burning away entirely. In its place, a deafening thunderclap echoed through the heavens, and an indescribable pressure swept across the land. A bolt of black lightning, like an enraged dragon, hurtled towards Zhuandu. Under this black lightning, Zhuandu's hair stood on end, and an indescribable sense of danger surged within him. This wasn't Shag King Divine Thunder, this as truly Gu Changsheng's Hongmeng Zhuanlei. But how could a golden immortal like Bixiao wield such power? Gu Changsheng. Zhuandu understood instantly. This wasn't Bixiao's power, it was Gu Changsheng's. But understanding it now was too late. Zhuandu could only channel all his power into the southern blaze light flag to defend himself. Yet what difference did it make? If this had been Bixiao's Hongmeng Zhuanlei, Zhuandu might have been able to withstand it with the southern blaze light flag. But the Hongmeng Zhuanlei she unleashed was stored by Gu Changsheng within the Zhuanling talisman. Not even Yuanshi with his heavenly cloud of celebrations could fully block it. In Zhuandu's horrified gaze, the Hongmeng Zhuanlei tore through the defenses of the southern blaze light flag and swallowed him whole. His agonized screams echoed across the sky. Jiang Ziya stood in shock. This wasn't Bixiao's power, it was senior brother Gus. Zhuandu was done for. Moments later, the black lightning dissipated, and Zhuandu's figure reappeared before Jiang Ziya and Bixiao. The southern blaze light flag in front of him had dimmed, charred black, and was heavily damaged. And himself was in an even more miserable state, his body battered and broken. Staring at Bixiao, Zhuandu's eyes were full of resentment, but he couldn't stop his life force from slipping away. He hadn't died by Gu Changsheng's hand, but had fallen to Bixiao instead. Despicable. You managed to utter 2 words after struggling for a long time. If Bixiao had used the Hongmeng Zhuanlei right from the start, Zhuandu could have at least fled even if he couldn't win. But Bixiao had first used the Shag King Divine Thunder, causing Zhuandu to lower his guard. Only then did he unleash the deadly Hongmeng Zhuanlei, leaving Zhuandu no chance to escape. Bixiao shrugged, replying dismissively, "You are just too foolish. What does that have to do with me? I told you, I received senior brother Gus' true teachings, but you didn't believe me. What could I do?" Zhuandu's eyes bulged wide as he spat a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky, crashing heavily to the ground in front of Jiang Ziya. The light in his eyes faded. Jiang Ziya stared at Zhuandu in a daze. Zhuandu was dead. A golden light emerged from Zhuandu's body, signifying his soul being drawn into the investiture of the gods. Zhuandu, soul ascended to the investiture of the gods. Jiang Ziya was completely stunned. Zhuandu was dead. The Taishang saint, this would surely cause trouble. Chapter 75. The furious Taishang Jiang Ziya had initially thought that Zhuandu's arrival at Sicily Pass would not only help him defend the pass, but also send some of Jie's sect's disciples to the investiture of the gods. After all, with only 3 spots left on the list, wouldn't it be easy for Zhuandu to eliminate 3 Jie's sect disciples? Once the investiture of the gods was complete, Jiang Ziya's mission would be fulfilled. But who could have imagined that Gu Changsheng, didn't even need to show up. Bixiao alone was able to destroy Xuandu. Instead, Xuandu became the first person after the God Conferment platform incident to have his soul ascend to the investiture of the gods. At first glance, it might seem that having Xuandu's soul ascend to the investiture of the gods was better than having his form and spirit destroyed like Kai Jigs and Maitreya. However, and was the chief disciple of Ren's sect, the first student of Laozi, and now his soul belonged to Haoshan. How could Laozi retain any dignity if this were to spread? But when Jiang Ziya thought it over, he realized that while this was indeed a serious matter, it didn't directly concern Hai. After all, it was Bixiao who killed Xuandu. If Laozi wanted to hold someone accountable, he would target Jie's sect, not him. However, this thought had barely crossed his mind when he felt a chill run down his spine. He realized that Jiang Ziya, high in the sky, was now directing her gaze toward him. Jiang Ziya didn't know how Laozi would deal with Jie's sect, but the problem now was that without Xuandu, how could he possibly defend Sishui Pass? Moreover, aside from Jiang Ziya, there was now also Bixiao. Even Xuandu couldn't withstand the divine ability Bixiao had just used. How cowl he? With a heavenly cloud of celebrations in his possession, Jiang Ziya had never worried about his safety before. If worst came to worst, he could simply abandon Sishui Pass and flee. But now, he wasn't sure if the heavenly cloud of celebrations could withstand the attack Bixiao had unleashed. Jiang Ziya didn't know, and didn't want to find out. What was he to do now? As he quickly analyzed the situation, it became clear that there was no way to hold Sishui Pass. The key was how to escape alive. While Jiang Ziya was racking his brain, Bixiao was gazing at Xuandu's corpse with excitement in her eyes. Senior brother Gus Hongmeng's Xuanlei was truly powerful. On the other hand, Jiang Ziya frowned slightly. Bixiao managing to kill Xuandu was just as unexpected for her. Given this, they needed to capture Jiang Ziya quickly. If Taisheng Laozi arrived, things would get complicated. Jiang Ziya waved her jade-like hand, launching a spell at Jiang Ziya. Seeing Jiang Ziya attack, Jiang Ziya hastily activated the heavenly cloud of celebrations. While it might not withstand the Hongmeng Xuanlei, it could easily block Jiang Ziya's attack. After Jiang Ziya's attack was neutralized by the heavenly cloud of celebrations, she was reminded of the events at Jinji Ridge. This time, she couldn't let Jiang Ziya escape again. Stop dawdling. Let's capture Jiang Ziya first. Jiang Ziya coldly commanded Bixiao. Breaking the heavenly cloud of celebrations would require both of them to attack together. Reminded by Jiang Ziya, Bixiao snapped back to focus. Compared to Xuandu, Jiang Ziya was even more detestable. She looked at the heavenly cloud of celebrations above Jiang Ziya's head with a mocking smile. I wonder if your heavenly cloud of celebrations can withstand my Hongmeng Xuanlei. As she spoke, Bixiao raised her hand, lightning arcs flickering in her palm. Seeing that Bixiao intended to use the same technique she had used against Xuandu, Jiang Ziya felt his heart leap into his throat. He poured all his power into the heavenly cloud of celebrations, which began to radiate in 5-colored light. In the next moment, Bixiao's hand descended, and a bolt of lightning fell from the sky, striking the heavenly cloud of celebrations. However, this bolt was far weaker than the one that had killed Xuandu, not even scratching the heavenly cloud of celebrations. After a brief moment of shock, Jiang Ziya's gaze toward Bixiao turned ferocious. How dare you toy with me? This wasn't the Hongmeng Xuanlei at all. Just like when she had fought Xuandu, Bixiao had used the Shagking Divine Thunder first. But Bixiao responded dismissively. You'll believe anything I say. How stupid can you be? Hearing this, Jiang Ziya froze for a moment, then burst into laughter as if realizing something. I see now. The strike that killed Xuandu. You can only use it once, right? The shock of Xuandu's death had been too overwhelming, or he would have figured it out sooner. Bixiao was only a golden immortal, while Xuandu was a quasi-saint. For a golden immortal to penetrate the defense of the Southern Blaze Light flag, and kill a quasi-saint, it was impossible for her to do that more than once. If that was the case, then Jiang Ziya and the others wouldn't be able to break through his heavenly cloud of celebrations. All he needed to do was stall for time. With Xuandu's death, the Taisheng saint should sense something. Once the Taisheng saint arrived, Jiang Ziya and the others would be finished. Jiang Ziya's words also made Jiang Ziya realize something. She glanced at Bixiao with surprise. It seemed that the Honmeng Zhuanlei just now was indeed from senior brother Gu. But even so, she couldn't let Jiang Ziya go today. Jiang Ziya's gaze shifted back to Jiang Ziya, a murderous intent flashing Anji in her eyes. Let's see how long the heavenly cloud of celebrations can protect you. Jiang Ziya unleashed her power again, launching another attack at Jiang Ziya. Even though the chances of breaking through the heavenly cloud of celebrations were slim, she had to try. But before Jiang Ziya's attack could land, an angry voice echoed from the distant horizon. Who dares to kill my Ren sect disciple? Along with this voice came an indescribable divine aura. Under this pressure, everyone present turned pale. Jiang Ziya was speechless. What was the Taishang saint doing? The ones who killed Zhuandu were from Jie sect, so why was this divine aura targeting him too? In the blink of an eye, a figure appeared above Sishui Pass. It was Laozi himself. Laozi had been hesitant about Zhuandu going to Sishui Pass, but since Zhuandu insisted, he hadn't stopped him. He had thought that with the Southern Blaze Light flag, Zhuandu wouldn't be in mortal danger. But just moments ago, he sensed Zhuandu's death. Though Zhuandu had lost an arm to Gu Changsheng at Killing Cliff, he had at least survived. But now he was dead. Seeing Laozi's arrival, Jiang Ziya quickly called out, "Uncle Master Taishang, Zhuandu was killed by Bixiao." With Laozi's intervention, Jiang Ziya and Bixiao were doomed. Hearing Jiang Ziya's words, Laozi turned his gaze toward Jiang Ziya and Bixiao. "Since you killed Zhuandu, you shall pay with your lives." An overwhelming divine pressure surged toward Jiang Ziya and Bixiao. Chapter 76, requesting guidance from the sage of Taiking across from them. Both Jiang Ziya and Bixiao stared at Laozi, their eyes blazing with fury. Especially Jiang Ziya, her beautiful eyes had veins of blood spreading within them. During the Nine-Bend Yellow River array, if it hadn't been for Laozi's intervention, relying solely on Yuanqi would not have determined the outcome. One could say that Laozi was the sworn enemy of the three sisters of Sangxiao. Now seeing him again, anger naturally filled their hearts. But anger aside, Laozi's power as a sage was undeniable. Under the terrifying pressure of his saintly aura, both Jiang Ziya and Bixiao found themselves unable to move. Jiang Ziya's body radiated with power, but the gap between a quasi-saint and a saint was just too vast. Moreover, Laozi was not some newly ascended saint, in terms of cultivation, and, aside from the Tao ancestor, Laozi was unmatched in the entire Great Wilderness. As for Shen Gongbao and the others, they could do nothing at all. Shen Gongbao clenched his fists, veins bulging on his forehead. Another saint. Back when Jiang Ziya waged war against the Shan, it was Yuanqi and Laozi's shameless interventions that ensured victory. Otherwise, based solely on the strength of their disciples, how could Jiang Ziya have succeeded so easily? Compared to Jiang Ziya and Shen Gongbao, Bixiao seemed much more at ease. She looked at Laozi and reminded him, "Sage of Taiking, if you make a move, you'll be breaking the rules, and then my senior brother Gu will take action as well." Hearing Bixiao's words, a hint of surprise flashed in Laozi's eyes. He had almost forgotten about Gu Changsheng. But so what? Even Gu Changsheng couldn't save Zhuandu. Laozi snorted coldly, "Nonsense, Gu Changsheng isn't here. Do you think just a name can frighten me? He would deal with Jiang Ziya and the others first." But just as Laozi finished speaking, a figure appeared before Jiang Ziya and Bixiao. In an instant, the oppressive saint, Aura Laozi had unleashed vanished. Gu Changsheng spoke calmly, who said, "I wasn't here." "Laozi, if you attack Jiang Ziya and the others, it would be bullying the weak. Why not play with me instead?" He had long anticipated that Laozi would appear after Zhuandu's death. He had stayed at Sishui Pass precisely to wait for Laozi. As a disciple of the Jiejiao sect, he couldn't afford any mishaps. Although there was no trace of magical power emanating from Gu Changsheng, it was enough to intimidate Laozi. Seeing Gu Changsheng, Jiang Ziya, and the others breathed a sigh of relief. However, Jiang Ziya cursed inwardly. What was Laozi waiting for? Couldn't he just attack directly? If Laozi had struck as soon as he arrived, even if Gu Changsheng showed up now, it would have been too late. But this was just Jiang Ziya's wishful thinking. Even if Laozi had attacked immediately, he wouldn't have succeeded. Gu Changsheng would have just revealed himself earlier. Gu Changsheng had been watching from the shadows all along. At this moment, Laozi suddenly realized something and asked Bixiao, Was it you who killed Xuandu? Bixiao did not back down and responded directly, so what if it was? This was exactly what Laozi had been waiting for. He turned his gaze to Gu Changsheng and accused, Gu Changsheng, you were the first to break the rules. I don't believe that Bixiao could have killed Xuandu on her own. You must have. He secretly intervened. I will definitely seek justice from our teacher. It was obvious that Gu Changsheng had been at Sizhou Pass all along. With Bixiao's power as a great Luo golden immortal, even with the strongest magical techniques, at most, she could only surpass Xuandu. It was impossible for her to kill him. Xuandu was protected by the Southern Ground Flame banner. Even a quasi-saint couldn't kill him, let alone Bixiao, who was merely a great Luo golden immortal. Therefore, Xuandu's death must have been due to Gu Changsheng's interference. However, Laozi's accusation only made Gu Changsheng laugh. I know what you were thinking, but I'm sorry to tell you, I didn't intervene in Xuandu's death. It was entirely Bixiao's doing. As soon as he finished speaking, Laozi glanced at Bixiao, his brows furrowed, and he gritted his teeth. Gu Changsheng, do you think I'm a fool? How could Bixiao, a mere great Luo golden immortal, kill Xuandu? Gu Changsheng responded directly, it's simple, Bixiao mastered my Hongmeng Xuanlei. Would you like to try it yourself? The moment Laozi heard the words, Hongmeng Xuanlei, a chill ran down his spine. Even now, the mention of Gu Changsheng's Hongmeng Xuanlei filled Laozi with lingering fear. But the more he felt this way, the less he believed it. How could a great Luo golden immortal possibly master such a divine technique as Hongmeng Xuanlei? As if anticipating Laozi's doubts, Gu Changsheng continued, it seems you still don't believe me. How about this? Bixiao, why don't you let the sage of Taiking test your Hongmeng Xuanlei? As soon as Gu Changsheng finished speaking, Bixiao stepped forward, excitement evident on her face. He had long wanted to fight Laozi. Seeing Bixiao step forward, Laozi sneered in disdain. If Bixiao's methods can't break through the Southern Ground Flame banner and kill Xuandu, then it's clear that you, Gu Changsheng, intervened. I will immediately go to the Jiejiao palace to seek justice from our teacher. If he couldn't do it, how could Bixiao, a mere great Luo golden immortal, kill Xuandu, a quasi-saint? Since the sage of Taiking has spoken, Bixiao, don't hold back, go ahead. As soon as Gu Changsheng finished speaking, Bixiao's body surged with power, her hands forming seals. Above the heavens, a thunderous roar echoed. Then, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky, striking directly toward Laozi. Shagking divine thunder. Too weak. Laozi sneered. This level of Shagking divine thunder didn't even require him to defend Aga. Instead, it couldn't harm him at all. He allowed the Shagking divine thunder to strike him, remaining unscathed. However, Jiang Ziya, watching from below, felt a sense of familiarity. Wasn't this how Xuandu had been killed before? Jiang Ziya hurriedly called out, be careful, master. But Laozi paid no heed to Jiang Ziya's warning. What could Bixiao do? Bixiao's hands formed another seal, and another bolt of Shagking divine thunder struck. Boom! 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 Thunderous roars echoed in succession. But, just like before, this level of Shagking divine thunder had no effect on Laozi. Laozi, growing impatient, said, is Shagking divine thunder all you can do? As soon as he finished speaking, Bixiao's lips curled into a sly smile. Don't rush, it's coming. In the next moment, high above the heavens, a deafening clap of thunder erupted. A black lightning bolt roared down like an enraged dragon. Knowing that Gu Changsheng had only given her a limited number of Xuanling talismans, Bixiao knew she had to ensure this Hongmeng Xuanlei hit its target. After several Shagking divine thunder strikes, the concealed Hongmeng Xuanlei finally descended. Chapter 77. How about another round? As the Hongmeng black thunder descended, Laozi's indifferent expression suddenly showed a trace of shock. Impossible! Laozi roared, waving his hand as golden light erupted, summoning the heaven and earth Wanhuang exquisite pagoda. In the no XD moment, the black lightning dragon collided with the heaven and earth Wanhuang exquisite pagoda in midair. The sky above Sizhou Pass was completely covered by the interplay of golden and black light. Below, Jiang Ziya and the others watched the scene overhead with wide eyes. Tis. Could this really be a divine technique that Bixiao, a great Luo golden immortal, could unleash? This strike seemed even stronger than the one that had killed Xuandu earlier. Could such an attack really be withstood by the clouds of celestial celebration? Jiang Ziya couldn't help but question this in his heart. As things stood, he felt lucky that Laozi had arrived in time. Otherwise, he would surely have met his end today. Just as Jiang Ziya was feeling a sense of relief, he suddenly noticed that the golden light in the sky was being suppressed. The golden light dimmed bit by bit, while the black lightning grew increasingly intense. An absurd thought suddenly crossed Jiang Ziya's mind. Could it be that even Laozi couldn't withstand Bixio's attack? Impossible. Laozi was a sage. But the golden light of the heaven and earth of Wanu, an exquisite pagoda, continued to weaken. If this Hongmeng black thunder had indeed been unleashed by Bixio alone, Laozi could easily fend it off. The problem was, this was not Bixio's doing. Moreover, Bixio had fully understood Gu Changsheng's earlier instruction to hold nothing back. This time, she had used her last two Xuanling talismans. So, what Laozi was facing were two Hongmeng black thunders. Additionally, the heaven and earth Xuanhuang exquisite pagoda had been damaged by the heaven-slaying sword last time, and had not fully recovered. How could it withstand the power of two Hongmeng black thunders? In the next moment, the defense of the heaven and earth Xuanhuang exquisite pagoda seemed to reach its limit. With a cracking sound, the golden light shattered completely. The black lightning dragon roared, and engulfed Laozi in an instant. A wave of indescribable, terrifying pressure spread out in all directions. Gu Changsheng, seeing this, gently waved his sleeve, and the power of a primordial great Luo golden immortal spread out, deflecting the residual force of the Hongmeng black thunder. Jiang Ziya, Shen Gongbao, and the others were all wide-eyed in disbelief. Was Bixio really this powerful? Jiang Ziya's gaze fell on Gu Changsheng. What exactly had senior brother Gu done? Looking at the rampaging black lightning dragon, Bixio couldn't help but laugh. Sage of Taiking, are you all right? As her words fell, a white light suddenly burst forth from within the black lightning dragon. A powerful saintly aura surged towards the heavens. The black lightning dragon dissipated, revealing a black and white Taijai symbol high above. The Taijai symbol hovered behind Laozi. Although Laozi had managed to block the Hongmeng black thunder, he was not unscathed. His robe was mostly destroyed, and even his hair was singed, leaving him looking quite disheveled. If he hadn't summoned the Taijai symbol in time, he really would have been injured by Bixio. This Hongmeng black thunder was exactly like the one Gu Changsheng had used before. Laozi stared at Bixio and Gu Changsheng, his face dark with anger, though he remained silent. At this point, Gu Changsheng stepped forward and chuckled softly. So, do you think Bixio's strike could HAV? He killed Xuandu. Laozi's mouth twitched uncontrollably. Forget killing Xuandu. Even an ordinary saint would have been hard-pressed to survive such an attack. But how could such an attack come from a great Luo golden immortal like Bixio? Laozi coldly retorted, Gu Changsheng, do you think it's reasonable for a great Luo golden immortal to unleash such a powerful technique? Hearing that Laozi still harbored doubts, Gu Changsheng immediately replied, "Ah, so you still don't believe it? Well, that's simple, Bixio. Go ahead and do it again." Since Laozi didn't believe it, they could just repeat the demonstration. Bixio immediately put on an eager expression, her delicate hands forming seals. Above the sky, the sound of thunder echoed once more. A sage standing still, letting her strike. This kind of opportunity didn't come along every day. Seeing that Bixio was about to strike again, Laozi quickly called out to stop her. Enough. Stop. The current situation was clear. There was no way that Bixio could have unleashed that Hongmeng black thunder on her own. But there was no evidence to prove otherwise. In this situation, if Gu Changsheng refused to admit it, there was nothing Laozi could do. He couldn't just stand there and let Bixio continue attacking him. He wasn't a fool. Even for him, taking a few more hits from that Hongmeng black thunder would be unbearable. As soon as Laozi spoke, Bixio's face showed a look of disappointment. Sage of Taiking, do you believe me now? Her words almost reignited Laozi's fury. Believe you? If Gu Changsheng weren't here, I'd slap you to death. In that case, will the Sage of Taiking still intervene in the battle at sites? Oh, pass. Gu Changsheng asked calmly. As soon as he said this, Jiang Ziya's heart leaped into his throat. Sage of Taiking, you have to step in. If you don't, what will happen to Sizhou Pass? Is Xuandu just going to die in vain? Hearing Gu Changsheng's question, Laozi looked down at Jiang Ziya and the others, then back at Gu Changsheng. I won't interfere in the affairs of Sizhu Pass. But remember this, Gu Changsheng, Zhuandu's death won't be so easily forgotten. One day, I'll make sure the disciples of the Jiejiao sect pay with their lives. But Gu Changsheng showed no fear of Laozi, replying disdainfully, do as you please. If your disciples from the Renjuao sect have the strength, go ahead and try. But if you dare to bully the weak, then you can guess, will Hoggen save you faster, or will I kill you faster? These words sent a chill through Laozi's heart. In the entire great wilderness, only Gu Changsheng would dare to threaten him like this. But at this point, there was no point in continuing to tangle with Gu Changsheng here. Though the sages of the heavenly Tao were undying and imperishable, to rely on the heavenly Tao to resurrect, no one wanted to die even once. The future was long, and the matter of the investiture of the gods was far from over. Laozi reached down with his right hand and grabbed Jiang Ziya, and the others, snorting coldly. Gu Changsheng, no. With that, Laozi turned and left. Seeing this, Bixiao immediately shouted, Senior brother Gu, Laozi is taking Jiang Ziya and the others away. Let him go. They may dodge for a while, but they can't hide forever. In any case, the disciples of the Chan sect must defend Jiejiao, and, for now, let's focus on taking Sizhu Pass, and then plan our next move. Gu Changsheng didn't care about Jiang Ziya's escape. Seeing this, Shen Gongbao immediately led his men into Sizhu Pass. With Jiang Ziya and the others gone, Sizhu Pass fell without any effort. No one had anticipated that in the Battle of Sizhu Pass, the only one to fall would be Zhuandu of the Renjuao sect. Chapter 78. Another person available with Jiang Ziya and the others retreating, Shen Gongbao successfully took control of Sizhu Pass. After a brief period of rest, they could now advance towards Jiejiao. In the camp at Sizhu Pass, Bixiao was staring eagerly at Gu Changsheng, looking as pitiful as could be. Senior brother Gu, after this battle, Laozi and Jiang Ziya must think I know how to use the Hongmeng Black Thunder. If you don't teach me, I'll be exposed the next time. In this battle, Bixiao had fully witnessed the power of the Hongmeng Black Thunder. Because of this, she was even more eager to learn it now. The key point was that Gu Changsheng had only given her 3 Zhuanling talismans, and now they were all used up. Seeing Bixiao's expression, Gu Changsheng felt a bit speechless. Suddenly, Gu Changsheng regretted his choice. Perhaps he shouldn't have chosen Bixiao. If he had given the Zhuanling talismans to Yangxiao instead, maybe this situation wouldn't have occurred. Gu Changsheng sighed helplessly. Do you really think Laozi believes you know the Hongmeng Black Thunder? Gu Changsheng knew that Laozi understood as well. There was no way that level of attack could have come from Bixiao, a great Luo golden immortal. It was only because there was no evidence that Laozi had no choice but to leave. Bixiao thought for a moment, blinked, and then said seriously, but what if? How do I? Oh no, he doesn't believe it. Gu Changsheng was at a loss for words. It's not that I don't want to teach you, it's just that only a sage or a primordial great Luo immortal can learn the Hongmeng Black Thunder. Helplessly, Gu Changsheng had to come up with an excuse. After all, the Hongmeng Black Thunder was not something that could be easily cultivated. The fact that he had mastered it was largely due to the system's assistance. Hearing this, a look of disappointment appeared on Bixiao's face. She was only a great Luo golden immortal. How long would it take to reach the primordial level? After a moment, Bixiao extended her right hand towards Gu Changsheng. Hand it over. What? Gu Changsheng asked, puzzled. What could Bixiao possibly want at this moment? Bixiao replied seriously, earlier, you gave me 3 Zhuanling talismans, but I used an extra one against Laozi, when just one would have sufficed. Aren't you going to replenish it for me? Besides, having a Zhuanling talisman on hand is a valuable life-saving tool, isn't it? Senior brother Gu, if you have more, I wouldn't mind receiving 7 or 8 of them. As soon as she said this, the muscles on Gu Changsheng's face twitched uncontrollably. 7 or 8. There weren't even any left. Those Zhuanling talismans were obtained through a reward draw after completing a mission. There were only 3 in total. There's none left. Maybe next time when I make some more. As soon as he said this, Bixiao's eyes began to wander suspiciously over Gu Changsheng. Really? Senior brother Gu, you are not lying to me, are you? Xiao approached Gu Changsheng. I've got something to do. I'm heading back to Jiao Island. Before Xiao could react, Gu Changsheng's figure had already disappeared. If he stayed any longer, Xiao might have tried to grab him. Better to make a quick exit. As Gu Changsheng left, Xiao stood there, stunned, and then muttered resentfully, if you didn't want to give it to M, you didn't have to run away so quickly. Oh well, I'd better go find Big Sister. Xiao walked out of the camp to find young Xiao and discuss the next steps for Jiejiao. Meanwhile, at Mount Kunlun, in the Jade Void Palace, suddenly, there was a loud crash, as if some thing had struck the outside of the Jade Void Palace. Then, several screams were heard. Yuanshi Tianzhen opened his eyes in confusion and moved outside the Jade Void Palace. He found Jiang Ziya and a few others, including Yellow Dragon, lying on the ground in pain. Seeing this, Yuanshi Tianzhen's temper flared instantly. He looked up at Laozi above and coldly questioned, Laozi, have you gone mad? Jiang Ziya and the others were guarding Sizhou Pass, and you brought them to the Jade Void Palace. What about Sizhou Pass? Yuanshi Tianzhen was furious, and Jiang Ziya and the others didn't dare say a word. Laozi moved down to stand before Yuanshi Tianzhen and angrily retorted, Sizhou Pass. My disciple Zhuandu is gone. What good is Sizhou Pass? Laozi's words left Yuanshi Tianzhen momentarily stunned. What did he mean by Zhuandu is gone? How could Laozi's words make no sense? Wasn't Zhuandu sent to Sizhou Pass to help? At this moment, it was Yellow Dragon who cautiously transmitted a message to Yuanshi Tianzhen. As soon as Yuanshi Tianzhen heard it, his expression changed drastically, and he exclaimed, What? Xiao kill Zhuandu? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Xiao is only a great Luo golden immortal. How could she have killed Zhuandu? Laozi snorted coldly. What, do you doubt my word? Do you think I wouldn't know whether Zhuandu is alive or dead? Seeing that Laozi was about to explode, Yuanshi Tianzhen quickly adjusted his tone and spoke seriously. No, what I meant was, how could Xiao have possibly killed Zhuandu? Gu Changsheng must have intervened. Let's go to our teacher. With that, Yuanshi Tianzhen was about to move, but Laozi showed no intention of going. You think I need you to remind me that Gu Changsheng was involved? The problem is, there's no evidence. What good will it do to go to the teacher? At these words, Yuanshi Tianzhen stopped, frowning deeply. But if that's the case, how can we deal with the Jiejiao sect? If even Zhuandu was no match, who else in the Chan sect could defeat Xiao? Laozi responded irritably, there's no need to worry. The means to kill Zhuandu must be limited. While traveling to the Jade Void Palace, Laozi had calmed down and thought carefully about everything Gu Changsheng had said. That Honmeng Black Thunder, Xiao probably couldn't use it again. But even so, there's no one in the Chan sect who can deal with the Jiejiao sect. Yuanshi Tianzhen's expression was grim. Guankegs hadn't fully recovered yet. Yu Ding and the others couldn't be erased either. This statement made Laozi's expression even colder. If your Chan sect has no one, does that mean the Renjuao sect does? Zhuandu is gone. What's left of the Renjuao sect? Yuanshi Tianzhen sighed. This is troublesome. The Western sect has newer over there, so they can't take action easily. And the Chan and Ren sects have no one left to use. Among the three sects, there wasn't a single suitable person to send against the Jiejiao disciples. It was all the fault of the Western sect for taking so many of his Chan sect disciples. At this moment, Laozi spoke up. Isn't your Chan sect's Nanji Xianwen still around? Send him. The ordinary Jiejiao disciples aren't his match. Hearing Laozi mention Nanji Xianwen, Yuanshi Tianzhen's face darkened. Of course, he knew about Nanji Xianwen, but he didn't want to risk any more Chan sect members. After thinking for a moment, Yuanshi Tianzhen's eyes lit up. I just remembered, there's still another person we can use.
Chapter 79, Chan sect's ally, Taoist Lu Yao. Laozi looked puzzled. What? Apart from Nanji Xianwen, does your Chan sect have anyone else available? Don't say I didn't warn you. Yang Ziya's strength is formidable. Anyone who isn't at least a quasi-saint would be walking to their death. Although the life and death of Chan sect disciples didn't concern him, Laozi didn't want to see the Jiejiao sect succeed again. However, Yuanshi Tianzhen chuckled softly. You're overthinking it. Why would I send my Chan sect disciples to their deaths? The person I'm referring to isn't a disciple of the Chan sect. Not a Chan sect disciple, nor a member of the Jiejiao or the Western sect. Excluding these possibilities, Laozi immediately thought of someone. Are you referring to Lu Ye? Exactly, it's Lu Ye. Yuanshi Tianzhen nodded slightly. Lu Ye as one of the few powerful cultivators among the wandering cultivators of the great wilderness. He was also exceptionally strong among the quasi-saints. His immortal slaying flying dagger and the nail-head 7 arrows book were extremely powerful treasures. During Jiang Ziya's campaign against the Shang dynasty, Lu Ye had also contributed greatly. If it hadn't been for Lu Ye using the nail-head 7 arrows book to curse Zhao Gongming, Jiang Ziya's side wouldn't have been able to kill Zhao Gongming so easily. But soon, Laozi's face showed a trace of anger, and he gritted his teeth as he spoke. If you had such a suitable candidate like Lu Ye, what were you doing at my 8 Sinners Palace earlier? If Yuanshi had sought out Lu Ye earlier, Zuandu wouldn't have died. Now, Laozi even suspected that Yuanshi did this on purpose just to trap Zuandu. Seeing Laozi so enraged, Yuanshi Tianzhen could only respond with a helpless expression. I just thought of it. After all, Lu Ye isn't one of the 3 sects, and getting him to take action isn't easy. Besides, Zuandu isn't really dead. His soul is on the investiture of the Gu DS, and he can still become a deity in the heavenly court in the future. It would have been better if Yuanshi hadn't said anything, but these words only made Laozi angrier. The heavenly court. That's ruled by Heoshan. And who is Heoshan? Just a boy who used to serve under Han Zhang. Now his eldest disciple, a disciple of the Sage of Taking, would become Heoshan's subordinate. If word got out, what would become of the Sage of Taking's reputation? Yuanshi, if you think going to the heavenly court is such a good thing, why don't you send Guanqingzi there? Seeing that Laozi was about to explode again, Yuanshi Tianzhen quickly found an excuse to escape. There's no time to waste, I must find Lu Ye immediately. Senior brother, you're free to do as you wish. After seeing that, Yuanshi Tianzhen's figure disappeared. As Yuanshi left, Laozi's pent-up anger had nowhere to go, so he returned to the 8 Sinners Palace. Outside Lu Ye's cave, a figure appeared in the sky above. Yuanshi Tianzhen stood directly above Lu Ye's cave, letting out a long breath. Luckily, I ran fast. Who knows what kind of madness Laos I would have unleashed otherwise. Forget it, Zuandu just died. Better to stay far away from Laozi for now. But the Jiejiao sect still needed to be dealt with. With Jinji Ridge and Sisu Pass both lost, and not a single Jiejiao disciple harmed, this was not a good sign. If the Jiejiao sect were really allowed to help Di Xin retake Jiejiao, the Chan sect's fortune would suffer greatly. This was something he could not allow. At Jipagang, no matter what, he had to get the Jiejiao disciples on the investiture of the gods list. Lu Ye was crucial. As Yuanshi Tianzhen was deep in thought, a voice emerged from within the cave. Since the Jade Purity Sage has arrived, why not come in? Upon hearing the voice, Yuanshi Tianzhen moved and entered the cave. Lu Ye glanced at Yuanshi and immediately asked, what brings the Jade Purity Sage here today? The remnants of the Jiejiao sect, or planning a counterattack to assist Di Xin's restoration? I would like you to step forward and eliminate the Jiejiao disciples. Yuanshi Tianzhen was direct, stating his purpose without delay. However, to Yuanshi's surprise, as soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ye shook his head. Then I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Jade Purity Sage. I cannot help with this. Lu Ye actually refused. This was not part of Yuanshi's plan. If Lu Ye refused to act, who else could he turn to? Yuanshi Tianzhen had no choice but to ask first. Why? Lu Ye chuckled softly. Why ask a question you already know the answer to, Jade Purity Sage? Although I've been secluded in my own cultivation, I'm not ignorant of what's happening in the great wilderness. That Gu Changsheng from the Jiejiao sect is not someone to be rifled with. Causing havoc at the investiture of the gods' platform, slicing through Mount Sumu, Gu Changsheng had bested the four sages of the Yuanxi lineage. If Lu Yao stood up now to help the Chen sect against the Jiejiao sect, wouldn't that be courting death? As the Golden Crow Prince, Lu Yao wasn't afraid of the Jiejiao sect, but that didn't mean he was foolish. After hearing Lu Ye's words, Yuanxi Tianzhen immediately responded. If it's Gu Changsheng you're worried about, you can rest assured. Our teacher is watching over everything Gu Changsheng won't dare act. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to you. Although Yuanxi didn't know what Gu Changsheng had done in the incident involving Zuandi's death, he still needed to persuade Lu Yao. Once Lu Yao killed a few Jiejiao disciples, what happened with Gu Changsheng could be dealt with later, but Lu Yao still showed no intention of taking action. So Yuanxi added, Lu Yao, do you think you can stay out of this by not getting involved? Let me be honest with you, the Jiejiao disciples are few in number now, and apart from Gu Changsheng, Jiang Ziya is the leader. You should remember how Zhao Gangming died, right? If you don't act now, Jiang Ziya will come for you later. A strange look flashed in Lu Ye's eyes. Then Yuanxi Tianzhen raised his right hand, and a crimson flame glowed in his palm. This single wisp of fire instantly filled the entire cave with an indescribable power that enveloped everything. Lu Ye's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the flame in Yuanxi Tianzhen's hand. He didn't know what it was, but he could sense that it held great significance for him. If he could obtain it, there was a high chance he could act through his bottleneck. And this reaction from Lu Yao was precisely what Yuanxi Tianzhen had anticipated. If the Jade Purity Sage couldn't manipulate Lu Yao, then he wasn't worthy of being a sage. Yuanxi Tianzhen spoke slowly. This is a supreme young flame that I obtained many years ago. It's useless to ordinary cultivators, but it should be of some use to you. If you agree to take action against the Jiejiao sect, it's yours. First, he mentioned the threat of Jiang Ziya, and then he produced a heavenly treasure, as bait. Yuanxi Tianzhen refused to believe that Lu Yao would still refuse to act. And just as Yuanxi expected, Lu Yao steadied himself, and then spoke in a deep voice. Alright, I'll do it. But let's be clear, I'll only help this one time, and after that, I'm not involved. That was enough. Yuanxi Tianzhen smiled. Your task, is to hold Jiejiao and kill two Jiejiao disciples. After that, the Chen sect will handle the rest. Deal. Lu Yao eagerly accepted the flame, once again boarding the Chen sect's ship. Chapter 80, Zhao Gangming breaks through to quasi-saint, and races to aid Jiejiao. Seeing Lu Yao accept the flame, Yuanxi Tianzhen was overjoyed. This time, he would closely monitor the situation at Jiejiao. If Gu Changsheng doesn't intervene, then no one in the Jiejiao sect can stop Lu Yao, and the Jiejiao disciples are doomed. But if Gu Changsheng does take action, Yuanxi would immediately step in and call upon their teacher for support. Assist Di Xin in regaining power. It would end at Jiejiao. As for Shen Gongbao, Yuanxi needed to find an opportunity to eliminate him as well. In that case, head to Jiejiao as soon as possible, he said before turning to leave. Lu Yao, however, didn't even glance at Yuanxi, his eyes entirely focused on the flame. No, I need to finish the matter at Jiejiao quickly and return to retreat. As long as Gu Changsheng is unable to act, he didn't consider anyone else in the Jiejiao sect a threat. Jiang Ziya and Duobao. What of them? With the Immortals slaying flying dagger, and the nail had 7 arrows book, what did he have to fear? At the same time, that Yuan Shi convinced Lu Yao to take action in Gu Changsheng's cave on Jiejiao Island. Inside the chaos pool, a figure sat amidst the clouds, exuding an aura of profound mystery. In the next moment, the figure's spiritual power surged out. A column of spiritual power shot straight into the sky, far surpassing and the limits of a great law golden immortal and heading straight for the level of a quasi-saint. This person was Zhao Gangming. When Gu Changsheng used the first volume of the Hangman Jiantian scroll, the first soul he retrieved was Zhao Gangming's, followed by Big Xiao's. After his resurrection, Zhao Gangming did not leave the chaos pool, but stayed inside to cultivate. The spiritual energy within the chaos pool was countless times richer than that of Jiejiao Island. Under such conditions, Zhao Gangming's cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, and in such a short time, he was already beginning to break through to the quasi-saint level. However, Zhao Gangming's foundation was still somewhat lacking. The previously powerful spiritual energy column began to dim little by little. If this continued, Zhao Gangming was bound to fail in his breakthrough attempt. At this moment, a figure appeared before Zhao Gangming. Gu Changsheng looked at Zhao Gangming, a trace of surprise on his usually calm face. You are about to break through to quasi-saint. Then let me give you a hand. As he spoke, Gu Changsheng extended his right hand towards Zhao Gangming, and a burst of spiritual light emanated from his fingertip. The once dim spiritual power column suddenly shone brightly again. Although the battle at Sizu Pass was a victory for the Jiejiao sect, and they even killed Zuandu, it served as a reminder for Gu Changsheng. Due to the presence of Han Zhang, his actions were still heavily restricted. If it weren't for the completion of a sign-in task and winning the Suanling talismans through a draw, Zuandu would have been far more difficult to deal with. The problem was that the Jiejiao sect currently had too few usable members. When it came down to it, only Jiang Ziya and Duobao could be relied upon. Jiang Ziya was already in the open, effective against the 12 golden immortals of the Chen sect, but against someone like Suandu, victory was far from assured. As for Duobao, Gu Changsheng wanted to save that card for the end. The Hangman Jiantian scroll needed several more days to retrieve the next soul. In the meantime, among the Jiejiao disciples, only Zhao Gangming was capable of taking on a significant role. Helping Zhao Gangming achieve quasi-saint status would allow him to contribute to the battle at Jipaigan. This was a preparation for the upcoming battle. If Zhao Gangming had tried to break through on his own, this attempt would surely have ended in failure. But with Gu Changsheng's intervention, the breakthrough went off without a hitch. Moments later, the spiritual power column vanished, but the spiritual power radiating from Zhao Gangming had increased several-fold. Zhao Gangming opened his eyes, which gleamed with a sharp light. At that moment, he could feel the surging power within him. So this is what it feels like to be a quasi-saint. Immediately afterward, Zhao Gangming saw Gu Changsheng in front of him and bowed in gratitude. Thank you, senior brother. Zhao Gangming knew very well that without Gu Changsheng's help, his breakthrough would never have succeeded. Gu Changsheng waved his hand dismissively. No need to thank me. You were already close to breaking through, I just sped things up a bit. Though Gu Changsheng said this, Zhao Gangming understood the true significance of his intervention. Then Gu Changsheng waved his right hand, sending several streaks of silver light towards Zhao Gangming. Zhao Gangming instinctively reached out to catch them, and when the silver light dissipated, he saw what it was, his pupils shrinking as he gasped. The Dinghe pearls. These pearls were his former treasures. After his death, they should have fallen into the hands of Randan, so how had they ended up with senior brother Gu? Gu Changsheng explained calmly. I retrieved them from Randan when I visited Mount Sumru. Consider them returned to their rightful owner. But before Zhao Gangming could fully absorb this surprise, he noted something different about the Dinghe pearls in his hand. The power they emanated seemed much stronger than before. Just as Zhao Gongming was puzzling over this, Gu Changsheng explained. I've reforged all 24 Dinghe pearls. Their power is now greater than ever before, giving you an additional edge in battle. If before, the 24 Dinghe pearls were merely ordinary innate treasures, after Gu Changsheng's reforging, they were now nearly equivalent to supreme innate treasures. Additionally, Gu Changsheng had imbued the Dinghe pearls with a trace of his divine consciousness to ensure that nothing could go wrong. With his cultivation now at the quasi-saint level and the enhanced power of the Dinghe pearls, Zhao Gongming's strength had been significantly elevated. Even if he encountered someone like Xuandu, he might not lose. Thank you, senior brother. Zhao Gongming bowed in thanks once again. But Gu Changsheng simply said, alright, enough with the thanks. Now that you've reached quasi-saint, it's time for you to leave this place. Zhao Gongming hesitated. Leave? Gu Changsheng teased. What, do you plan to stay in my chaos pool forever? Jiang Ziya and the others are assisting Di Xin with his restoration. They're probably near Jiejiao by now. Go help them take Jiejiao. Zhao Gongming suddenly understood, his eyes flashing with both killing intent and excitement as he armored to himself. Yes, it's time for me to go. Chen sect, Jiang Ziya, it's time to settle some scores. And that Lu Ye. Zhao Gongming vividly remembered those who had caused his death. Since he had a second chance, some old grudges needed to be avenged. Alright, prepare yourself and set out. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't be seeing you off, Gu Changsheng said, waving his hand and escorting Zhao Gongming out of the chaos pool. With Zhao Gongming at Jiejiao, there shouldn't be any problems. Gu Changsheng had something else he needed to prepare.